listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network. One of Us is a podcast and video network funded all but entirely by donations and subscriptions. We do accept pitches for audio-based or banner ads, but on a case-by-case basis. If you are interested in that, contact us at oneofusnet@gmail.com. With the amount of audio and video content we generate, it is expensive and extremely time-consuming to keep things running. Please go to the webpage oneofus.net and sign up for a subscription at $2, $5, $10, or $25 and get a ton of bonus content. One of Us needs and appreciates all your support.
Necromancer Podcast is now proud to be a part of the One of Us Podcast Network. I'm Shira, and I like rom-coms.
I'm Brett. I like horror movies, and every week we not only watch and review a rom-com or horror, we remix those movies.
That's right. Ever wonder what the stalker classic There's Something About Mary might look like as a slasher?
Or what Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell would look like as a heartfelt romance instead?
Don't worry, just because it's a love story doesn't mean it can't have a decapitation or two.
Necromancer Podcast, where sweet meets scary. Listen now.
Hey, Brett!
Hey, yeah.
You know, my calendar's so popular. So popular. Do you know how I know my calendar is so popular?
How do you know?
Because it has all the dates. Gets all the dates. It's on...
All right.
So we're going to talk about an actual comedian today. I hate to curb your enthusiasm, but everybody's favorite old man yelling at the most harmless clouds is back. Larry David in Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness, an almost history of America. Now, this isn't exactly a Ken Burns serious documentary. In fact, you might say most of it's hearsay, but what Larry has done with and at the behest of Barack Obama, arranged a sketch comedy of several famous historical occurrences throughout America. We're talking from 1776 all the way to present day-ish. And he's just kind of poking fun at what if Larry David's particular style of I have many grievances humor was inserted into these famous American events. Now, because he is and has been working for the longest time and knows everybody, all of his best buddies to just comedians looking for work have jumped on board into this sketch comedy. And the results, they kind of vary. With me to talk about Hoo boy. Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness, an almost history of America. Someone who would never open a history book to mock it. Owen is with us.
Hello. Depends on which country's history you're speaking of.
Yeah, that's fair. And someone who knows that history is full of love and horror. He is the co-host of the Necromancy Podcast. Brett is with us.
Hey, I'm happy to be part of the show. Not actually with you guys, so I'm not stuck in any kind of awkward seating arrangements. But happy to be here digitally with you.
We have a 7-episode series. Knock on wood. I know, odd number, bad luck. That's just what these series are coming out to. It's a new age and a lot of history to poke fun at. Personally, my favorite little sketch is when Larry plays a somewhat of a reluctant participant in the shooting at the OK Corral, or rather the showdown at the OK Corral. What I particularly enjoyed about this sketch is the cast at the table with him playing the Earp Brothers. I would love to see them play the Earp Brothers in real life. It was Timothy Oliphant as Wyatt Earp. Doesn't that sound like a fascinating, kind of awesome movie? What did y'all think of this sketch comedy, and did you have any particular favorite sketches?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of favorite sketches, I think the one that stood out for me was the Henry Ford sketch with Ike Barinholtz. I just found it really funny, and Ike Barinholtz is a performer who I can give or take depending on the project in which he's in, because he's quite sort of a particular performer, but something about him in this series really stood out for me. Other than that, my initial thoughts are I'm quite mixed on the whole season, only because there's a slight feeling of been there, done that. I think with American history being so popular in storytelling, it feels like whether it's a true telling of these events or even other series, like I'm thinking like A Drunk History or something, the sketch comedy of these stories sort of feel a bit, I've seen it before. And that's kind of the place I'm coming from.
Yeah, I liked that Henry Ford sketch because it kind of had a beginning, middle, end. Like, it kind of had several locations and things going on. And I love the OK Corral one because Timothy Oliphant is just... Sometimes, even when he's doing comedy, he can't just help but be a pure badass. And there's a couple lines in there.
Exactly.
If I had to pick one that stood out right away to me was the polio one. Just because I think all the sketches do go a little bit too long, maybe, if I'm being super picky about it. But the polio one, just having him in drag and just having him be a Jewish mother proud of her son for doing something great was a lot of fun. But yeah, overall, I think it really helped that they got the cast that they did for this. I think it helped that the show was pretty short in general. I didn't mind that some of it felt like a best of Larry David kind of show, with sort of the normal things we see from him. But I like the sketches that kind of veer into these alternate histories where he can't just help but insert himself in some way. And so what I really like about Larry David is sometimes we're on his side and sometimes we're not. And he plays them both very well.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. After the first episode, I was kind of taken aback, if you will, at how non-biting or accusational the jokes were. Well, Samuel L. Jackson's snide remark on vaccination aside, which was very fun. Very excellent narration by Samuel L. Jackson. Before I go into that tangent, did the toothless, this is all for fun, all for yucks, did that work for you after a while? I kind of had to get used to it before I gave up on someone's going to say things have to change in our modern day or we're all going to burn in a horrible fire of our own making. See, I went full grim. He definitely didn't want to go that way. How did y'all like just to re-sum up that word salad, kind of toothless comedy of this series?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like with how society in the States, as a sort of outsider, not living there or born there, I can understand how maybe he wouldn't want to go full sort of biting nihilism that he can in previous projects, because society just isn't necessarily looking for that type of take on history, because the sort of current times are seen as so, oh, this is the worst it's ever been. That's opinionated depending on who you are. I think that was my problem, was that I would have rather seen a more biting version of it, because that's what I appreciate Larry David, and I think he's best at. And I'm curious if the involvement of the Obamas as a production house maybe influenced him not being able to push it maybe as far as I know he can. And I think that's why a lot of the sketches sort of fell so cold for me as they sort of ended. I didn't feel like, other than maybe, as I said, the Henry Ford sketch, which I agree with Brett, has sort of a beginning, middle, and end. A lot of them just seem to rest on one joke, and then the payoff just wasn't the most satisfying for me.
Well, was it Michelle Obama's policy, when they go low, we go higher?
Right.
Like, it definitely had that influence. Like, no one's trying to hurt anyone's feelings here. But a part of me with a lot of comedy is, why not? Sometimes punching up. Sometimes punching up is cathartic and kind of nice. But Brett,
Yeah,
any opinions on that? Yeah,
I viewed this mostly as just a chill hangout show. So I came into it not really expecting a lot of the political sort of stuff. I like it when he sort of takes something like the invention of the first car or plane and just immediately extrapolates it to modern day inconveniences. That was fun. I liked the Kitty Hawk sketch. But I mean, there was like the Electoral College sketch, or there is one that's specifically about Washington speaking on a third term. Those ones did feel a little more pointed and a little shorter too. Like, those ones felt like they kind of had something more to say. I probably could have used a little bit more of that because, like I said, every sketch does. It was mentioned here that, like, there's really one good core joke in the sketch, but sometimes they do bloat it out. And if you kind of cut some of that fat and maybe include a couple more sketches, a couple more of them, maybe a bit bitey, I could see that being a show worth talking about more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that's not to say anyone who loves history and kind of the true history is about asking questions, not about discovering truths, but finding out what we can learn from that past to have a better, truthful tomorrow. I sound like a poet. With that, I really liked Catherine Hahn's performance as Mary Todd Lincoln because so often, even by historians, they're like, oh, Mary Todd Lincoln, crazy, just uncompromising stick of a snotty woman. And I always thought something is odd about that. Dare I even say sexist? So Catherine Hahn getting to play to that character type, but not as a stereotype, but rather just a woman who's fed up with all the shit, was very entertaining for me. I highly recommend that sketch. She's a favorite of mine for a long time as well. Did you have any favorite actors you liked seeing, or just comedians in general throughout the whole show?
I mean, I'm a Jerry Seinfeld fan, so seeing them get to interact together as Lewis and Clark was fun. But
yeah, how long has it been? Like,
yeah. But honestly, there were a couple people they brought in that had a good buddy chemistry. Paul Rudd, I thought, fit really well with Larry David. But seeing Bill Hader, so right there, I think, like you said, the Lincoln sketch was great because you have Bill Hader and Catherine Hahn, and then there's just so much energy and fun and chemistry to have between those three people. It's that one was a lot of fun.
I did enjoy Rita Wilson included in that Jerry Seinfeld, Lewis and Clark sketch. I mean, Rita Wilson is a personal favorite who sort of never really, I guess, gets the credit that I think her comedic chops deserve. But then
and her
one,
interrogation of them was fun. She always was kind of, she knew what they were up to. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And then I think, just to mention as well, I enjoyed... Who else did I enjoy? I mean, Fred Melamed is just one of those voices that, I mean, whether you see him in person or you just hear him, is sort of comforting. And him is, William Henry Harrison, I thought was a nice addition. I think there's just so many people packed into this, and the fun of previous Larry David projects was that you sort of were given time to appreciate these known people showing up in series that he's previously done, whereas this one, because it moves so quickly through the sketches, you don't necessarily get to appreciate it. You're like, oh my god, there's so many people in all these sketches in one episode, and because it's only 7 episodes long, you're sort of, so much is thrown at the wall that, unfortunately for me, a lot of it just didn't stick. Even with some of my favorite people, like I love Jane Krakowski, I love June Diane Raphael, but neither one of them sort of had a standout moment for me. Even Susie Essman, who obviously was great on Curb Your Enthusiasm, didn't felt like she wasn't revealing anything new in playing Susan B. Anthony in her sketch.
Right, like if you, again, this is the part where it's a little odd. I watched a lot of this with my kids because it was so non-threatening, my older kids. And at the end of that sketch, even, they're like, who's Susan B. Anthony? I was like, oh, didn't you see the comedy of this? She wanted women to have equal rights and have the right to vote. And actually, and then led to a discussion of who she was. It's like, it is interesting that you aren't gleaning any actual history from these sketches. And that's going to be my last observation before our final thoughts. Why the cutoff? Why didn't we go into anything past, like, even the 80s? I don't think were really covered that well. Do you think that's just playing it safe and making sure not to offend anyone who may have lived in the history? Or I thought there's so much in the past 40 years that not mocked, but we can have a laugh at now, and we didn't.
A lot of his more modern stuff, the Watergate stuff or McCarthy stuff, a lot of that I found myself kind of yawning through. It was a lot of just him doing general gossip, like, hey, I'm someone important, but I'm just kind of gossiping for a bit. And it's, gossiping about these side characters we never see, just small little things. The show really does shine, like, the further back in time he goes.
I agree with that. Owen, thoughts on that? Any opinions on that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's the expectation that they're hoping for another season where they'll get into more sort of modern history. Because, like, I agree, there is a lot of humor that can be had in the situations now with time having passed. I mean, the closest they get to the modern age, I guess, is the whole tan suit controversy in the finale that, to me, sort of I didn't find funny in any way. And whether that's because, I mean, all love and respect to him, but Barack Obama is not necessarily a performer. And when in contrast with sort of Larry David's more outlandish take on things, the chemistry just didn't feel like it was there for me in that sketch. So maybe if they can get more great comedians to sort of play these more known people in maybe a possible follow-up season, they might be able to invest some time into that. But again, you can only fit so much into 7 episodes, and so many centuries of American history.
Right. And we're going to fit that into our final thoughts. Owen, would you conclude with your final thought and a score, please?
Yeah, so...
Or rating.
Yeah, so when it comes to Larry David, I tend to enjoy his comedy, his more biting, nihilistic, comedy, with Curb Your Enthusiasm being one of the sort of the great series of the 21st century for me. Whereas this just sort of felt a lot of half-baked ideas, and the usage of many stars who I'm familiar with didn't necessarily make up for the lack of great expanded writing of the sort of one central joke conceit of a lot of the sketches. I mean, it was well filmed, it was well shot, and I think Samuel Jackson really was a standout for his voiceover narration in a way that I enjoyed when we returned to hear his voice sort of bringing us through the different sketches. I'd be curious to see if they do a follow-up season, if they will explore more modern American history, because, again, there's some people who are still alive who would maybe want to laugh at the past in the present that is so sort of lacking in shared communal laughter. Yeah, I'm just kind of mixed on this bag, and I wish I enjoyed it a lot more. So for that reason, ratings-wise, I think I've got to go 6 out of 10. You have Jane Krakowski, and you don't have her sing.
Yeah.
Very nice. A very good point. Brett, your final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a big Larry David fan. So as someone who really enjoyed Seinfeld, someone who really enjoyed Curb Your Enthusiasm, I was just happy to hang out with Larry David. The length of the shows were fine. Like I said, if I'm being really picky, I do think each sketch could be trimmed down a bit. But again, just hanging out, just enjoying him doing his thing. I think it's a good sit-down show. I didn't mind that it was a little fluffier, more fluff. I don't mind the safeness. I hope it gets them more seasons. I'd like to see them, like you guys said, do more modern stuff or tackle all around the world. I could see Larry David doing all sorts of different things. This is a very easy kind of sketch comedy premise. I'll be a little bit lighter with it. I'll give it 7 different kinds of phone rings out of 10.
Yeah. And I'm torn. Like, I wanted biting satire, but Larry David as just a silly guy is also wonderful. One of my favorite joke setups, it has nothing to do with it. It's like relevant no matter what time you're living in. It's showing a buddy a picture of your fave gal and them being kind of unimpressed,
Right.
just kind of tepid about it. Like, wow, that's a really good comedy setup. And then, of course it is. It's Larry David. He knows how to pitch a joke. And all of that stuff worked really well. A big fan of the OK Corral. My takeaway from all the research I've done on Wyatt Earp is criminals were terrified of him, and so were innocent people. So no commentary on that in this sketch, which is kind of a missed opportunity. So yeah, I'm of two minds, like I am about most things of this. But I hope Larry David keeps making jokes as well and pitching jokes and getting all of his cohorts involved. Really get back to, because there's nothing wrong with fluffy, silly comedy either. Having a laugh is so important right now. So I'm going to give this one, probably in between you two, let's go 6.5 to 7 out of 10 seconds with Paul Rudd, where he is ad-libbing the hell out of the scene, and it's just magical to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of Paul Rudd, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, as one final note, it would feel sort of wrong to not sort of shout out Rob Reiner in his cameo, which I would imagine is probably maybe the last thing he would have ever shot. And so it was great just to see him one last time.
Absolutely.
Yep, sticking it to the man.